At 17 years old, Grace stood alone at the community water pump in the small town of Riverside. Twin babies were strapped to her body, one on her back, one held tightly in her arms. Both were crying, their small voices mixing with the harsh whispers of the women around her. "Look at her, so young with 2 children already," one woman muttered loud enough for Grace to hear. "Who will marry her now? She has ruined her future," another added, shaking her head. Grace bit her lip, fighting back tears. She bent down to fill her water bucket, but her hands trembled from exhaustion. The weight of her situation pressed down on her shoulders heavier than any water container ever could. As she struggled, 2 young women approached. Their names were Lisa and Maria, both around 20 years old. They had watched Grace's struggle for several minutes before making their decision. "Sister, please let us help you," Lisa said gently, reaching for the bucket. Grace flinched, her eyes flashing with pain and suspicion. "Don't touch me. Why do you want to help? Did someone send you to mock me too?" "No one sent us," Maria replied softly. "We just see you need help. Please, we want to be your friends." Grace hesitated. In her short life, she had learned that trust was dangerous. But something in their eyes seemed genuine. Slowly, she nodded. Lisa lifted the heavy bucket while Maria carefully took one of the crying babies. Together, they walked Grace home. For the first time in months, Grace felt a small warmth in her heart, the touch of real friendship. Before that day at the water pump, Grace's life had been different. She had been a bright student with dreams of becoming a teacher. Her mother had been her anchor, her source of strength and encouragement. But when Grace was 16, her mother died suddenly from an illness that came and went within weeks. Left orphaned with no father in the picture, Grace found comfort in David, her childhood friend and classmate. They would sit under the large oak tree near their school, talking about their futures. "Do you think we'll make it, David?" Grace had asked one evening, her voice soft with worry. "Of course we will," David had replied, squeezing her hand. "I'll work hard. I'll take care of you. We'll build our future together." But comfort turned into a mistake. Their closeness went too far, and Grace became pregnant. When she told David, tears streamed down both their faces. "What will we do?" Grace whispered, trembling. "Don't cry," David said, holding her hands. "I'll stand by you. I'll tell my parents. We'll face this together." David kept his word. He told his parents the truth, but their reaction was far from supportive. His father shouted about shame and destroyed futures. His mother cried about ruined opportunities. They forced David to drop out of school and sent him to the city to work in a factory. "Be strong," David told Grace before he left. "I'll send money. I'll come back. We'll raise our child together." Grace believed him. She held on to hope. But weeks later, a letter arrived with devastating news. There had been an accident at the factory. David was gone. Grace collapsed, clutching the letter to her chest. She had lost her mother. She had lost David. And now she carried 2 lives inside her with no one to lean on. But Grace made a decision that night. "I will keep this pregnancy," she whispered into the darkness. "I will protect my children, no matter what anyone says." Months later, she gave birth to twins, Alex and Andre. Instead of celebration, she faced mockery. The townspeople pointed fingers wherever she walked. But Grace lifted her head high, held her babies close, and made a silent vow. "I will raise you with dignity. I will fight for you, even if the whole world turns against me." And so began her journey, a teenage mother rejected by society, but determined to survive. If you're enjoying Grace's story of courage and determination, please hit the like button and subscribe to never miss an inspiring story. Drop a comment below telling me what you think will happen next. Your support means everything to this channel. Not long after Alex and Andre were born, a new threat entered Grace's life. His name was Uncle Raymond, her late mother's cousin. He had appeared during her mother's funeral, taking charge of arrangements and acting as the family authority. People had praised him then, But now his true intentions began to surface. One humid afternoon, Uncle Raymond arrived at Grace's small rental room. She was sitting on a worn stool, rocking her twins to sleep when his shadow filled the doorway. "Grace," he began, his voice carrying false concern. "You're too young for this burden. You cannot raise 2 children alone. Tradition says family must step in. Give the children to me for proper training." Grace looked up slowly, her jaw tightening. "Uncle Raymond, thank you for helping with Mama's funeral. But these are my children. I will not give them to anyone." His eyes narrowed. "Don't be stubborn, girl. Think of your future. If you hand them over to the elders, you can still get married. You can have a new life." Tears filled Grace's eyes, but her voice remained firm. "My future is with Alex and Andre. I will never give them up." Uncle Raymond's expression hardened. "If you truly care about them, then sign over that piece of land near the old bridge. Your father left it. As family, I have the right to manage it for their benefit." Grace stood up, her baby stirring at the sound of her rising voice. "No, Uncle. That land is for my children. My father left it for us. I will not give it to you. Not now, not ever." Uncle Raymond's face twisted with anger. "You will regret disrespecting me, Grace." He stormed out, his footsteps heavy with rage. A week later, he returned with 3 men from his neighborhood. They stood outside her door, their voices loud enough for everyone to hear. "Custom gives us the right to care for orphans," one shouted. "This girl cannot raise 2 children," another added. "The land must be placed under proper management." Neighbors gathered, whispering among themselves. Some shook their heads in pity. Others waited to see if Grace would break. But Grace stepped outside, Alex in one arm and Andre strapped to her back. Her eyes were red, but her voice did not waver. "These are my children. This land belongs to them. I will not surrender to you or to anyone. If you want to fight me, then fight. But I will never give them away." Silence fell. The men exchanged uncomfortable glances. Uncle Raymond's jaw clenched with fury, but Grace stood her ground. That day, she realized her battle was not just against poverty and shame. She was fighting people who wanted to strip her of everything she had left. One morning, weeks later, Andre's body burned with fever. His tiny chest rose and fell too rapidly. His cries were weak and frightening. Panic seized Grace's heart. "No, no, my baby. Please stay with me," she whispered through tears. She tied Andre to her back and carried Alex in her arms. Running barefoot through the dusty streets, she rushed to the community clinic. "Please, my son is dying. Help me," she begged the doctor. The doctor examined Andre and shook his head gravely. "He needs urgent treatment, but you must deposit $8,000 before we can begin." Grace's mouth fell open. $8,000? "Doctor, I don't have it. Please start treatment. I'll pay later. I'm begging you." "No money, no treatment. That's the policy," the doctor replied coldly. Grace dropped to her knees. "Please save my child. He's all I have. Please." The doctor turned away. Andre's cries grew weaker. Grace's world seemed to crumble. She ran from house to house, knocking on doors, holding Andre close. "Please help me. I don't want to lose my child," she cried. "Even a small amount, please." Some neighbors gave what they could, coins, a few bills. Others shut their doors in her face. Grace kept begging, her voice breaking with each plea. When Uncle Raymond heard about her desperate search for money, he smiled to himself. "Now is my chance," he muttered. That evening, he appeared at her door, his voice suddenly kind. "Grace, I heard about Andre. I'm sorry. I can give you the $8,000 right now." Grace's eyes lit up with desperate hope. "Please, Uncle. Help me. My baby is dying." Uncle Raymond's face hardened. "But there's one condition. The land near the old bridge. Sign it over to me, and I'll give you the money today." Grace's entire body went cold. She looked at her sick child, then back at Uncle Raymond. "You want me to trade my father's land for my son's life?" "It's a small price to pay," he said callously. "Choose, Grace. The land or the child." Tears poured down Grace's face. She fell to her knees. "Uncle Raymond, please don't use my pain against me. This land is all my children have left. I cannot give it away." "Then let the boy die," Uncle Raymond said, turning to leave. "No!" Grace screamed, her voice shattering the evening air. Neighbors rushed out at the sound. When they learned what happened, some were moved with compassion. They dug into their small savings, $50 here, $100 there. Bit by bit, they scraped together the money. By dawn, Grace ran back to the clinic. The deposit was paid. Andre received treatment. Slowly, his breathing calmed and life returned to his small body. Grace held him close, her lips trembling. "I will not lose either of my children. Not while I still breathe." But in her heart, she knew Uncle Raymond would never stop until he got that land. What she didn't know was that the same land he tried to steal would soon become the key to changing her life forever. Not long after Andre's recovery, something unexpected happened in Riverside. A man named Robert Chen arrived quietly one afternoon. Many of the town elders remembered him well. Over 20 years ago, when he was in his early 30s, Robert had left for Silicon Valley in search of opportunities. People said he worked hard in the tech industry, built a successful career, married, and raised a family there. Now, after all these years, he had returned, not empty-handed, but to build a retirement home for his elderly mother and prepare for his family's visits. News of his return spread quickly through the small town. Some people were envious, others excited, many just curious about the man he had become. One warm morning, Robert decided to walk around town with his mother. The elderly woman beamed with pride as she showed him different properties she had purchased over the years with the money he had sent. "Look, my son," she said, pointing to a commercial lot. "I bought this after you sent money when your second child was born. And here," she added as they walked further, "this small plot near the old bridge. It's also yours." Robert smiled, soaking in the nostalgia. But as the morning sun climbed higher, sweat gathered on his forehead. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a handkerchief to wipe his face. As he did, something else slipped out, his wallet. Neither he nor his mother noticed. They kept walking, discussing property plans and family visits. The wallet lay quietly on the dusty path behind them, its leather slightly open, revealing credit cards and cash. No one knew yet that this wallet was about to create an encounter that would change someone's life forever. That same morning, Grace was returning from the water pump. A large container balanced on her head, Andre tied to her back, Alex carried in her arms. The sun beat down mercilessly, but she pushed forward. This was her daily reality. As she walked the narrow path, something caught her eye. A black leather wallet lay on the ground. Grace stopped, frowning. The wallet looked expensive, foreign even. It was unlike anything anyone in Riverside could afford. Her first thought was to ignore it. "Maybe it belongs to someone dangerous," she told herself. "If I pick it up, people will say I stole it." But curiosity won. She carefully lowered the heavy container and bent down. With trembling hands, she picked up the wallet. The leather was smooth and soft. She opened it slowly. Her eyes widened. Inside were American dollars, credit cards, and identification cards with a photo of a man she didn't recognize. Her heart began to race. Who could have dropped this? She wondered. They might not even know it's missing. For a long moment, she stood frozen, her mind racing. She could hear imaginary voices of villagers. "If you keep it, they'll call you a thief. If you leave it, someone else will take it." Grace pressed the wallet into her clothing, hiding it close to her body. She lifted the container back onto her head and continued walking home, her thoughts restless. She had no idea that the wallet she now carried would soon open a door that would transform her entire life. When Grace finally reached home, Lisa and Maria were already waiting outside her small house. "Ah, you're back," Maria said with a smile, quickly taking the heavy container. "Let me help you." Lisa reached for Alex. "Come here, little man," she said playfully, kissing the boy's cheek. But Maria noticed something. "Grace, is something wrong? You look worried." Grace sighed deeply. She sat on the wooden bench outside and pressed her hand to her chest. "My sisters, something happened on my way back." "What is it?" Lisa asked quickly. Grace hesitated, then carefully pulled out the black leather wallet. Both friends leaned forward, their eyes widening when they saw the contents: American currency, credit cards, identification. "Oh my goodness," Maria whispered. "This is more money than I've ever seen." Lisa picked up one of the ID cards slowly. "Wait, I think I know who this is. Haven't you heard about the Chen family? Their son just returned from Silicon Valley after many years. They say he's very wealthy." "Yes," Maria nodded. "People have been talking about him. So this wallet must be his." They both looked at Grace. Silence filled the air. Then Maria leaned closer. "Grace, what are you going to do? This money could change your life. You could raise your children, start a business. Maybe this is God's way of helping you." Grace's hands trembled. "But if I keep it, won't it bring trouble?" Lisa spoke softly. "It's true this money could help you tremendously, but I can't tell you to keep it. If you decide to return it, I'll still support you. Whatever you choose, we're with you." Grace looked down at the wallet, her fingers shaking. "I need time to think about this carefully." The three friends sat in thoughtful silence. Then Maria laughed to ease the tension. "Well, whatever you decide, don't forget my share." They all laughed. But deep inside, Grace's heart was heavy. She knew this wallet wasn't just about money. It was a test. A test that could either save her life or destroy it. That evening, Grace spent hours in thought. She looked at her sleeping children and whispered to herself, "No amount of money is worth losing my peace. I will return the wallet." The next morning, she tied Andre to her back, carried Alex in her arms, and walked toward the Chen family compound. Her heart pounded with every step. As she approached, she heard a car engine. She stepped aside quickly, clutching her children close. A sleek car drove past, raising dust. Inside was Robert Chen, his face lined with worry. He was heading out, searching for his lost wallet, not knowing that the person carrying it was just steps away. Grace stood still, watching the car disappear. She sighed and continued walking. When she entered the Chen compound, she saw an elderly woman sitting on the porch, Robert's mother. "Good evening, ma'am," Grace said, bending respectfully. The old woman smiled warmly. "Good evening, my dear. How are your children?" "They're fine, thank you." After brief pleasantries, Grace moved closer and lowered her voice. "Ma'am, I heard your son came back from abroad. I found this on my way from the water pump this morning." She carefully pulled out the wallet and placed it in the elderly woman's hands. The woman's eyes widened. She opened it and saw everything intact. "My daughter, my son has been searching for this all day. You don't know what you've done. God bless you. You're such a good girl." Grace lowered her head humbly. "It's nothing, ma'am. I only did what was right." The old woman squeezed her hand with gratitude. "May the Lord reward you. Your children will never lack." Grace smiled faintly, then quietly left the compound, carrying her children. She had no idea that this single act of honesty was about to change her story forever. That night, when Robert Chen returned home, his mother was waiting at the entrance. In her hand, she held up the black leather wallet. "My son," she said with a smile, "is this what you've been looking for?" Robert froze. His eyes widened in disbelief. He rushed forward and took the wallet from her hands. Relief washed over his face as he opened it. Everything was still there. The cash, the credit cards, the important documents. He dropped into a chair, pressing the wallet against his chest. Mom, you don't understand. This wallet contains documents I absolutely cannot lose. If I had lost it, the consequences would have been severe. Tell me, how did you find it? His mother gestured for him to sit properly. Calm down. Let me tell you the story. Robert leaned forward eagerly. Earlier today, a young girl came here, his mother began. She carried 2 babies, one on her back, one in her arms. She greeted me respectfully, then pulled this wallet from her clothes and gave it to me. She said she found it on the road near the water pump. Robert looked up quickly. A young girl? Who is she? His mother's eyes softened. Her name is Grace. She's only 17, an orphan. She lost both parents. People in this town mock her every day because she has 2 children at such a young age. But despite all her suffering, she returned what wasn't hers. My son, that girl is honest and kind. Robert sat silently for a moment, his eyes fixed on the wallet. His heart was deeply moved. So the same girl everyone gossips about, the one they ridicule. Yes, his mother nodded. The same one. They call her names. They shame her. But today, she proved her heart is pure. Robert leaned back, a mixture of relief and admiration on his face. Mom, this world is strange. The people we look down on may be the ones with the greatest character. If this girl had kept the wallet, I would never have known. But she brought it back. His mother reached for his hand gently. Tomorrow, you must visit her. You must thank her yourself. She deserves it. Robert nodded firmly. Yes, Mom. Tomorrow I'll go see her. That girl has done something extraordinary. I won't forget it. He held the wallet tightly. But in his heart, it wasn't just about the wallet anymore. It was about the young mother who chose integrity over desperation. The next morning, Robert woke early and drove to Grace's neighborhood. He parked his car quietly outside her small house and waited. Soon, Grace stepped out, preparing to start her daily chores. Her children were still sleeping inside. As she reached for her broom, she noticed the sleek car parked nearby. Her heart skipped a beat. Who could this be? She wondered. The car door opened, and Robert Chen stepped out. He was tall, well-dressed, and carried himself with quiet confidence. Grace quickly bent in greeting. Good morning, sir. Robert gave a small smile. So you're the good person who returned my wallet yesterday? Yes, sir, Grace answered softly. Robert took a step closer. My mother told me about you. She told me how people have treated you, how much you've suffered. Yet when you found my wallet, with all that money inside, you didn't touch a single thing. You returned it completely intact. He paused, his voice heavy with emotion. I was amazed. You're a good person. You don't deserve the pain you've been going through. And to think you're around the same age as my own daughter. Grace's eyes filled with tears, but she remained quiet. Robert reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. From today, you won't carry this burden alone. Take this money. Use it for yourself and your children. Think carefully about what you'd like to do with your life. When you're ready, come see me. I'll help you. Grace fell to her knees, clutching the envelope with both hands. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Thank you, sir. Thank you. May God bless you. May your children never suffer. Robert bent slightly and touched her shoulder gently. Stand up, daughter. This is only the beginning. Grace stood, her eyes still wet with tears. For the first time in a very long time, hope filled her heart. Days later, Lisa and Maria came to visit Grace. They found her outside, washing her children's clothes while Alex and Andre played nearby. Our friend. Maria called out happily. How are you today? I'm well, my sisters. Welcome, Grace replied with a genuine smile. Almost immediately, Maria leaned forward curiously. Grace, tell me, that wallet. What did you finally do with it? Grace looked at her and smiled playfully. Sorry to disappoint you, my dear friend. I returned it that same day. Maria threw her hands up. Ah, Grace. You and your conscience. But Lisa nodded firmly. You did the right thing. Even if you'd used that money to start something, it wouldn't have lasted. Money that doesn't belong to you cannot bring peace, only problems. Grace nodded slowly. That's true. But let me tell you what happened after. She leaned closer and lowered her voice. The very next morning, the man himself came to my house. He thanked me, gave me some money, and told me to think about what I'd like to do with my life. He promised to help me get started. Lisa and Maria's faces lit up with joy. Grace, this is wonderful, Maria said, clapping her hands. So what will you do now? Grace sighed. I don't know yet. I haven't been able to come up with any ideas. The three friends sat quietly for a moment. Then Lisa spoke up. What about software development and tech services? Grace looked at her, surprised. Tech services? Yes, Lisa continued enthusiastically. I have a cousin in the city. He runs a tech company that provides software solutions and IT support to small businesses. The demand is huge, and the profit margins are excellent. Companies always need tech help. Maria's eyes widened. That's true. Every business needs technology now. Website development, software maintenance, IT consulting, it never stops. Lisa leaned closer. Grace, you're smart. You were good in school before everything happened. With proper training and mentorship, you could learn this. And if Robert Chen is willing to sponsor you, this could be perfect. Grace sat quietly, processing the information. The only sound was her children's laughter in the background. Finally, she looked at her friends with tears in her eyes. This sounds promising. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Maria. I don't know what I would do without you both. The three friends held hands and smiled. But in Grace's heart, she knew this was more than just friendship. This was the beginning of a plan that could transform her entire future. That night, Grace couldn't sleep. The moonlight filtered through the cracks of her small house. Alex and Andre slept peacefully beside her, their soft breathing filling the room. But Grace's eyes remained wide open, staring at the ceiling. Her mind was troubled. She kept thinking about Lisa's suggestion. Tech services, she whispered to herself. Her heart beat faster as doubts crept in. I've heard technology is complicated, she thought. What if I can't learn it? What if I fail? What if I waste this one chance to change my life? She turned to look at her sleeping children, and tears filled her eyes. I cannot fail them, she whispered. This isn't just about me. It's about them. Her thoughts raced. Then suddenly, she remembered something from a book she had read in school years ago. The biggest risk is not taking any risk. Her eyes widened. Slowly, she sat up. She looked at her children again and wiped her tears. Yes, she whispered with newfound strength. I cannot keep living in fear. If I don't try, I've already failed. I will do it. I will go for it. The next morning, Grace made her decision. She would meet Robert Chen and share her plan. When she arrived at the Chen compound with her children, Robert was just pulling into the driveway. He smiled warmly when he saw her. Grace, how are you? How are the children? We're fine, sir. Thank you for everything, Grace replied, bending respectfully. They walked into the house together. Robert's mother greeted her warmly, and they all sat down. So, Grace, Robert began, have you thought about what you'd like to do? Grace took a deep breath and nodded. Yes, sir. I've been thinking carefully. I'd like to learn software development and start a tech services business, helping small businesses with their technology needs. Robert raised his eyebrows, impressed. Tell me more. Grace sat up straighter. Small businesses always need help with websites, software, IT support, and digital solutions. The market is growing. Lisa told me about her cousin who runs a successful tech company. I know it will be challenging to learn, but I'm willing to work hard. If I can get proper training and mentorship, I believe I can succeed. As she spoke, both Robert and his mother nodded, clearly impressed by her clarity and determination. When she finished, Robert smiled broadly. You're brilliant, Grace. You've thought this through well. I believe you'll succeed. His mother added, but my daughter, what about your children? When you're learning and building the business, who will help you care for Alex and Andre? Robert turned to his mother and nodded. That's a good point. Grace, you'll need to hire someone to help with the children. Someone reliable we can pay monthly. That way, you'll have time to focus on learning and building your business without worry. He paused, then leaned forward. Here's what we'll do. Make inquiries. Find out the cost of everything, training programs, computer equipment, business registration, and initial operational costs. Grace's eyes widened with gratitude. She tried to kneel, but Robert quickly raised his hand. Please don't. You've thanked me enough. This is just the beginning. If you work hard and succeed in your first year, I'll provide additional capital to expand. Your days of suffering are over. Tears rolled down Grace's face. She pressed her children close. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. May God bless you abundantly. Robert's mother smiled warmly. You deserve it, my daughter. You've been through too much. I'm glad God finally sent you a helper. After that meeting, Grace didn't waste time. She went to Lisa immediately. My sister, please help me. Talk to your cousin. Tell him I want to learn under him. Even if I have to work for free while learning, I don't mind. I just want to understand this business. Lisa looked at her with a warm smile. Don't worry. I'll talk to him. A week later, Lisa returned with good news. Grace, my cousin agreed. After I told him everything you've been through, he said he'll mentor you without charging anything. Grace's eyes filled with tears of joy. She hugged Lisa tightly. Thank you, my sister. May God bless you. Grace hired a reliable helper to stay with Alex and Andre, just as Robert had advised. With her children safely cared for, she began traveling to the city where Lisa's cousin taught her everything. Coding basics, website development, software troubleshooting, customer service, and business management. Weeks turned into months. Grace absorbed everything like a sponge. She worked late into the night, practicing on the computer Robert had provided. Her determination was fierce. When she was finally ready to launch, Robert kept his promise. He provided capital for equipment, business registration, and initial operations. Grace named her company Phoenix Tech Solutions. The early days were challenging. Her first clients were small, a local shop needing a simple website, a restaurant requiring a point-of-sale system. But Grace delivered quality work with dedication. Slowly, word spread. Within 6 months, she had a steady stream of clients. Within a year, she had hired 2 employees. By year 3, Phoenix Tech Solutions had 15 employees and contracts with major businesses across 3 cities. 10 years later, Grace had become a household name in the technology sector. Phoenix Tech Solutions had grown into a multi-million-dollar company with over 200 employees. They provided software development, IT consulting, cybersecurity services, and digital transformation solutions to businesses throughout the region. Grace had also diversified. She invested in real estate, purchasing commercial properties in different cities and generating additional income through rentals. Her children, Alex and Andre, were now studying at one of the nation's most prestigious universities, pursuing degrees in computer science and business. The same townspeople who once mocked her now greeted her with profound respect. Good morning, Madam Grace, they would say. You're an inspiration to our community. Grace always smiled humbly, never forgetting where she started. But Grace didn't stop at business success. She built a technology training center in Riverside so young people could learn digital skills without leaving town. In honor of her late mother, she established a scholarship fund for teenage mothers who wanted to continue their education. She called it the Second Chance Foundation. At the foundation's launch, she stood proudly, her voice strong. "This is for my mother and for every young woman who's been told she has no future. No one should be defined by their mistakes or their circumstances." Lisa and Maria stood beside her that day. They were no longer just friends. Grace had made them directors of her foundation. Together, they had helped hundreds of young women rebuild their lives. Grace never forgot Robert Chen. She maintained close contact with him and his family. Each time they spoke, Robert would say, "I'm proud of the woman you've become, Grace. You're proof that character matters more than circumstances." Grace cared for Robert's mother as if she were her own, ensuring her final years were filled with comfort and joy. And what about Uncle Raymond and the villagers who mocked her? Many came forward over the years to apologize. Some remained silent, their shame speaking louder than words. But one thing was clear, they had all learned an unforgettable lesson. One evening, Grace stood outside her beautiful home, watching Alex and Andre return from university in their car. She smiled as they ran into her arms. "Everything we have today," she whispered to them, "came because we never gave up." Never judge anyone by their present situation. Life can change in a single moment. The sun set behind her, casting golden light on the once rejected teen mother who had become the pride of her community. And so ends the story of Grace, the orphan, the mocked teenage mother who transformed her pain into power and her shame into greatness. Dear viewers, Grace's story teaches us something powerful. Life can humble anyone, but it can also raise anyone. Never look down on someone because of their present situation. The person mocked today may become the one everyone celebrates tomorrow. Honesty, hard work, and determination will always open doors that money cannot buy. What do you think about Grace's journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. There's another incredible story coming in a few days, so make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when it drops. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.